A couple of weeks ago, I made a video where I went over every single DC TV show that is going to come out in the next couple of years, and that video did surprisingly well. So I thought, what the hell, why not make a video about every upcoming DC movie as well? This will include every theatrically released, every straight to DVD, straight to HBO Max, animated movie, live action movie, doesn't really matter, everything that is classified as a movie and is based off of DC Comics. Then I'll go over in this video. There are 11 movies that have confirmed released years at the very least, which is entirely from 2022 and 2023. Beyond that, there's nothing confirmed, but there is a long list of movies after that that have some sort of development involved with them. So I will talk about those, but very briefly. For the most part, I'll be focusing on the 11 movies coming out in 2022 and 2023 that have been confirmed. With that out of the way, let's begin with a movie that is coming out in just a little bit over a month, which is Green Lantern Beware My Power, a straight-to-home video movie, which is also the 5th movie in this new DC animated universe, usually referred to as like the DC animated Rebirth universe, and the first one after a long hiatus of exactly 1 year, since Batman The Long Halloween Part 2, and is also the first Green Lantern project since 2011, and the first one headed by any other Green Lantern other than Hal Jordan. All of which is insane to me. The fact that like one bad Green Lantern movie in 2011 meant that there's no other Green Lantern projects in the slightest for an entire 11 years. Warner Bros. Just chucked one of their biggest properties out the window because of one bad movie. Anyway, this movie does focus on the objectively best Green Lantern, John Stewart, as he takes over the role of a deceased Hal Jordan and teams up with Green Arrow and Hawkgirl to fight Sinestro. This trailer also confirms a huge time skip between the last movie in this universe, which was The Long Halloween Part 2, and this one. At the end of that movie, the Justice League was only beginning to form. Here they already have a watchtower, Hal Jordan is hinted to have already been a member and to have died, and Vixen is introduced as well. Regardless though, I'm glad we're finally getting another Green Lantern movie, or really any Green Lantern related project, because it's been way too long, and I'm also glad that John Stewart will be the main character, because like I said, he is my favorite version of Green Lantern, probably because of Justice League Unlimited, but anyway, I probably should have mentioned this also. It's being released on July 26th, which means that it is the next animated, or really DC movie in general, to be released after the making of this video. It's 1 month away. The next movie after that is DC League of Super Pets. This movie is being released on July 29th and is, as far as I can tell, the highest budget animated movie that DC has ever made and one of the first to be theatrically released. Tone-wise, it feels very similar to something like Secret Life of Pets. I mean, also in concept, it feels similar to that, and that's a bit disappointing, as the trailer it looks very juvenile. Like, obviously it's made for kids, but I was expecting something that maybe adults can enjoy as well, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is something that's only for kids. Regardless, though, this movie will feature all the pets of the Justice League, including Crypto the Super Dog, who's played by The Rock, and Ace the Bat Hound, played by Kevin Hart, the latter of which is very different from the comics or any other animated adaptation, as he's not usually a bulldog and he never has superpowers, where here he does. There's also Chip, who in the comics is an alien who just so happens to look like a squirrel and a member of the Green Lantern Corps. Here, he's a regular squirrel from Earth who has electricity powers, so very, very different. There's also Merton McSnurtle, who is basically Jay Garrick's counterpart in a world where everybody is animals, like you would find in a kid's book, and that's a reference to the fact that Merton has Jay Garrick's signature helmet in this movie. Finally, there's PB the Wonder Pig, who is a pig who can grow large, and that's not a character from the comics, and I don't really understand the Wonder Woman connection in the powers, but I do think it feels like a reference to Wonder Woman in that one episode of Justice League Unlimited, where she turned into a pig. Anyway, I wouldn't really say I'm excited for this movie. Like I said, I think it's more for kids than anything, like only for kids. But I watched the DC League of Super Pets, or whatever it was called, Crypto the Super Dog TV show back when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it. So, if kids enjoy this movie, then that's great. DC's second villain-focused movie after Joker, this time taking place in the DCEU, Black Adam, will release on October 21st, 2022, and will showcase his origin story and place in the hierarchy of power in the DC universe, as The Rock just loves to say over and over again. My main hope for this movie is that they don't go down the route of like Venom or Morbius or the upcoming Kraven movie of just making him an anti-hero or even a hero just because he's the main character. I really hope they don't stray away from any villainous acts or accomplishments that he would do, because that's what Black Adam would do, because he is a villain. and make him a hero. I really hope they don't do that. Joker proved that they can make the protagonist a villain and a bad person, and it's still a good movie, so I really hope that that's where they're going. The JSA will also appear in this movie, which is probably what I'm most excited about. Like Dr. Fate and Atom Smasher and Hawkman, those characters I'm much more excited about, much more anticipating than Black Adam. Mostly because The Rock is playing him, and I don't think The Rock is a very good actor. I went into it in depth in an entire video. Link will be in the top right corner of the video. I'm not really excited for this movie. I'm hoping that it proves me wrong, but generally I think that this movie might be a bit of a miss. The trailer really didn't sell it either. Coming out just 2 months after Black Adam, meaning that they might be in theaters at the same time, is the sequel that Black Adam should have been the main villain of, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's insane that these two movies are coming out so close to each other. That wasn't supposed to happen. This movie basically switched release dates with The Flash, which was delayed by an entire 8 months, meaning it's not coming out for an entire year from when I'm making this video. And because of that whole situation, there's a movie about Shazam coming out just 2 months after a movie about Black Adam, his arch enemy, and they're not appearing on screen together at all. They're not fighting at all. I would have preferred that these two movies were merged. If there was just a Shazam sequel with Black Adam as the main villain, this not only means that like we get these two arch enemies not showing up together, but also when Shazam does come out, it might not be as cool because we literally just saw 2 months ago a movie about a villain with the exact same powers. So, like, it feels a little bit derivative at that point. It feels we might get a bit tired of it. Instead, it could have just been one movie where they fought. It's a really weird situation that we got. Instead, we have Hesper and Calypso as the main villains. Whatever. On the bright side though, Shazam and the Marvel family all got much cooler costumes. I really liked the first Shazam movie as well. I thought it was hilarious, and on a rewatch it was even better than I remembered. So just because of that, I am excited for this movie at least a bit, because it probably will be a lot of fun to watch. But I think that these two movies should have just been one. And this whole situation of Black Adam, Shazam! Fury of the Gods coming out 2 months apart is insane to me. The first straight-to HBO Max movie in the DCU, and really one of the first ones ever, is Batgirl, coming out sometime this year. The release date hasn't been confirmed yet, but this movie might be delayed an entire 8 months like The Flash was, because it does take place in the timeline after the Flash movie. The Flash movie will create this new timeline, and that this new Batgirl movie will take place in that timeline, and it wouldn't make any sense if they release this before The Flash. I mean, Michael Keaton's Batman is appearing in this, and the Flash movie is supposed to like change the timeline so that Michael Keaton's Batman is the main Batman of this universe, which is a stupid change in my opinion. I mean, he's 70 years old playing Bruce Wayne, where like James Gordon is played by a 67-year-old man. That's right, in this new timeline, Batman is older than James Gordon. Regardless of that, I mean, the Flash delay messed up so many things, whether it be Black Adam and Shazam coming out 2 months apart, or Batgirl, which it won't make sense at all with Michael Keaton as Batman in this movie. They might have to change a few things to explain that maybe it doesn't take place in the DCU at all. It takes place in the Michael Keaton Batman universe, which is Earth 89 according to the Arrowverse. But at least we're getting like more Brendan Fraser, which is always great. He's playing the main villain, Firefly. So yeah, that's something to be excited about. The next movie is Battle of the Super Sons, which doesn't have an official release date, but we do know that it is coming out in 2022. This movie is going to be CG animated, so it's the first straight-to-DVD CG animated DC movie, or maybe it's going to be straight to HBO Max. We don't actually know, but the Super Sons, if you don't know, is the name of the duo of John Kent / Superboy and Damian Wayne / Robin, the first biological canon children of the main continuity Superman and Batman, respectively. In the comics, initially John was only 10 years old and Damian was 13, although time travel shenanigans have aged John up to 17 and Damian now just naturally aged up to 14, so technically the same age gap just switched, but I think the movie will probably remove the age gap completely and make both of them around 13 or 14, as they've both been confirmed to be young teenagers, and the ages that I just mentioned from the comics, only one of them is a young teenager at each point, and that's Damian. Anyway though, the main villain will be Starro, who will be taking control of Superman and Batman, leaving the Super Sons to save the day. Like I said, I am actually excited for this movie. The fact that it's CG animated maybe means that it's going to be a bit higher budget and it's going to be a bit more unique. visually, and just in general, the Super Sons are a very fun concept, so I am looking forward to this movie. The next movie is a Milestone animated movie going straight to home video, and if you don't know, Milestone Comics was a subdivision of DC Comics which focused on a universe called the Dakotaverse. This universe featured exclusively black superheroes like Hardware, the Blood Syndicate, Icon, and Rocket, and by far the most famous of them, Static, who got his own TV show Static Shock, set in the DC animated universe. The Milestone universe has been a part of the main DC universe in the past, and in animated TV shows like the DCAU and Young Justice, but right now in the comics it is its own separate thing, and it's not confirmed this is going to be a movie about a specific Milestone character or the entire Milestone universe, but I gotta be honest, really the only characters that I know anything about from that universe is Static, obviously, as well as Rocket and Icon due to Young Justice. But I'm not really all that familiar with the rest of the Milestone characters, so I'm not really excited for this movie, unless it's about Static, or Icon, or Rocket, but mainly Static. I know about Rocket or Icon, but I'm not really big fans of them at all. And finally is Merry Little Batman, another animated movie, probably 2D this time, coming out in probably, I'm assuming, December 2022. It has been confirmed for 2022, and it is a Christmas movie, so December is a fair bet. It's probably going to be the second to last DC movie coming out this year, with Shazam! Fury of the Gods being the last one. This movie is another Damian Wayne focused movie, but this time he's only 6 years old, and the story is basically the Bat Family equivalent to Home Alone. It's set on Christmas, it's about a little kid stuck at home defending it from criminals. It's a bit of a weird concept for a movie, especially since there is another animated movie with Damian Wayne as the main character. And also because, and this isn't really that important, but when he's 6 years old, he's usually still being trained by the League of Assassins, which is maybe something that can make this movie a bit more interesting. Maybe it turns out this entire thing is a simulation that the League of Assassins made Damian go through as part of his training. This movie would take a dark turn, and that's probably not what they're going with. But I just think that it's going to be another movie that's just really for kids, and only kids, and adults probably can't enjoy it, and that's perfectly fine. Moving on to 2023, we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom coming out on March 17th after it was delayed a few months. It was initially supposed to come out in December. This movie really only has the initial cast. Like, the cast from the first movie has all been confirmed to come back. Basically, every single character is coming back for this movie, with 0 new characters confirmed up until this point. But I'm guessing the main villain won't be Black Manta or Ocean Master again. It's probably going to be somebody new. One of the returning characters is Mera, played by Amber Heard, the first of 2 DC movies coming out next year in 2023, with extremely problematic and even borderline criminal actors. It seems like Amber Heard will still be in the movie, they're not going to be cutting her out, but with a much smaller role than the first one, which was always supposed to be the case. This is going to be a buddy comedy that focuses on the relationship between Aquaman and Orm. But going forward after this movie, I'm assuming that they'll probably either just write Mera out, or what I'd prefer they do is recast her, because there's no reason not to at this point. Moving on to the next movie, which is even more problematic, way more problematic, and that's The Flash. The Flash, coming out on June 23rd after an entire 8-month delay, is maybe the single most problematic movie that Warner Bros. Has ever made. It was in development hell for years, going from director to director to director, finally beginning filming, and then there's all these leaks that start coming out, and people do not like these leaks. It was leaked that the movie will change the timeline, essentially replacing Superman with Supergirl, and replacing Ben Affleck's Batman with Michael Keaton's Batman, who is a 70-year-old man playing the main Batman in the main DC universe, where, like, the other characters are in their 30s. It was also then pushed back an entire 8 months from November 2022 to June 2023. And finally, the worst of all is Ezra Miller. This person is so problematic, and just in the casting alone, I always thought that he was not suited for the role. He never felt like Barry Allen to me, he never felt like the Flash to me. He's such a weird casting choice for this role. There's literally just one scene in the entirety of all of his scenes that he's been in where I could say, yeah, that feels like the Flash, but it's not because of him. In fact, his running makes it worse. It's the Into the Speed Force scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which just the visuals and especially the music, it's incredible. But I think that literally any actor could have done that. In fact, any other actor could have done it better because Ezra Miller runs weird. But that isn't really the problem with Ezra Miller. The problem is his long list of legal issues in the last 2 years, from assault to harassment to alleged grooming to having a restraining order placed against them. After recent events, the internet has called for Ezra to be completely replaced. A lot of people wanted Grant Gustin to, who in my opinion is and always has been a much better version of the Flash and a much better version of Barry Allen, to replace him in the movies. It has been reported that, not officially though, that Warner Brothers will not be using Ezra Miller anymore past this movie. But regardless, I think that this movie is a huge problem in general due to Ezra Miller. Regardless of all of that, the actual plot in the movie will be heavily inspired by Flashpoint. In fact, that was the title of the movie at one point before changing to The Flash, which I would have preferred. I mean, and there's two things called The Flash right now. One's a movie and one's a TV show. They're the exact same title. I think that this movie could have been called Flashpoint, and that would have been fine. But maybe they changed it because maybe there's a bit less brand recognizability, but also maybe because it isn't really going to be a faithful Flashpoint recreation. It's going to be more so heavily inspired by Flashpoint. It will involve Barry saving his mother and timeline changes occurring. But there might be a bit of alternate universes involved. I don't think the Reverse Flash is going to be appearing. There won't be this alternate Superman or this alternate Batman will be Bruce Wayne still. It won't be Thomas Wayne. So it's going to be Flashpoint, but very, very different. It's going to be its own thing for the most part. But honestly, it's probably going to be better than the CW's Flashpoint, which was extremely disappointing. And amidst all the chaos of The Flash, we have another movie coming out in 2023 called Blue Beetle, coming out on August 18th, which means that it's over a year from now. We got a long way to go till that movie comes out, but I am really excited for it. It was originally supposed to be an HBO Max original, but it later changed to theaters, maybe because Warner Brothers realized that they could make some money from this movie in the theaters, because Blue Beetle is an extremely, extremely cool character and very, very underrated. Not really by DC fans. A lot of DC fans love this character, but he's not exactly an extremely famous character on the level of even the Flash. But he is one of my favorite DC characters, and he's had extremely limited exposure in live action. I think they nailed the casting and absolutely killed it with the costume. I mean, this thing looks incredible in the set photos, so just imagine how cool it will look on screen in HD, in 4K, whatever, with CGI involved. So I'm really excited for this movie. I'm hoping it's going to be fantastic, and I'm honestly hoping that it's going to introduce the world to Blue Beetle and make him an A-lister DC superhero. I think that could be really cool. And finally, Warner Brothers loves to do this thing where they take movie ideas and just throw them at the wall and tell the public that they're in development. And then, if there's a bad response to it, they could cancel it. Maybe it's in development for a decade and it just never comes out. Or maybe it finally gets made after 15 years of development. So there is a long list of movies that Warner Brothers has confirmed for development, but they're no closer to being made than anything that hasn't been confirmed for development, as far as we know. This list includes a Wonder Woman spin-off about the Amazons, as well as a third Wonder Woman movie, the latter of which I think is probably going to be made eventually, a Deadshot spin-off from Suicide Squad, a Gotham City Sirens movie with Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy, a Black Canary spin-off of Birds of Prey with Journey Smollett, a Supergirl spin-off of The Flash with Sasha Calle, a Green Lantern Corps movie which has been in development since the DCU slate was initially revealed back in, I think it was 2014 or 15, a Zatanna movie, a Booster Gold movie, a Lobo movie, a Metal Men movie, a Nightwing movie, a Plastic Man movie, and a Static movie, all of which may or may not come out. We have no idea, and I'm assuming half of these will never be made, and the other half, half of those will suck, probably. I don't know. Warner Brothers is just a mess. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which one of these movies are you most excited about? Which one of these movies do you think will suck? If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Bye.